And now if you'll just connect that here...
It's done. I believe we are ready.
We're ready to try at least. Please put on these headphones. There should be 2 extra sets. I've configured the channels so that only your microphone is set to broadcast, officer. We'll all be able to listen, but anyone we reach will only hear your voice. You will need to transmit your connection request while I attempt to locate the warship's public frequency. You will likely encounter some interference, but it's important to keep transmitting your request until you're acknowledged. Ready? Good. Beginning transmission.
A soft rustling. Between your ears, a winterscape with fast falling snow. Every light switch, every motor carriage, every doorbell, tea kettle, and radio in Martinez, all mingled with electrical interference caused by scattered thunderstorms over Ozone.
Officer, are you in order? We're waiting for you to start.
You're all alone out there, wandering a blasted heath, calling out to the night. But there is no reply, except for the buzzing of invisible machines. The lieutenant looks up at you with a nervous glance. He is nervous for your sake, of course, but also his own. Looking at him now, with both hands on his headphones, you see very briefly what the lieutenant must have been like when he first joined the RCM. Then he turns to you. He gives you a half smile, along with an almost imperceptible nod of encouragement.
Try again, officer.
Perhaps you're simply imagining it, but it seems as though you're learning to pull apart the fibers of this auditory felt. You focus on one strand in particular, one that sounds very nearly human.
Nein, Liebling, das lasse ich nicht zu. Marianne hat mir erzählt, dass...
You can't make out a word of this gibberish.
Liebling, bitte.
It isn't gibberish, it's Valder. Now please keep trying. Again?
It's cold now.
A slight frisson at the point where your neck meets your spine. Something about the lieutenant's words directed at you, but not you.
Mention what? I didn't say anything, Detective. Someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired.
An uncomfortable silence falls over the connection.
It's been a long winter. Long and cold. I promise you I didn't, even though it certainly sounds like me.
Yes. A particularly eerie specimen, but still just a harmless piece of the past returning to surface.
Right. I just wish I could remember what I was talking about.
Natürlich halten ihn die Psychologen für vollkommen normal.
Ah, very good thinking. I'll engage it now.
Someone has been maintaining it.
That's much better. Please try again.
Worship Archer. Are you there, Lieutenant Dubois? Please acknowledge.
Damn! Even with the crosstalk suppressed, the signal is still very weak. I did not expect simply locating the signal to be so difficult. We must consider several variables. Local entroponetic conditions, the sophistication of our transceiver, the quality of our connections, and the physics of our antenna itself. Fortunately, we have a more than adequate transceiver, so I do not believe it is causing any problems. And we're also unlikely to change our local entroponetic conditions. So, the next step is to thoroughly inspect our connections. You need to climb up there and look at them for yourself.
Someone has been maintaining it.
Come on, son. This isn't anything but a common high bar. Just get a solid overhand grip and hoist yourself up. Images of your body smashed against the pavement flood your mind. This is dangerous. Your gloves give you a solid grip on the metal bar. This feels pleasingly familiar. Keep it together, champ. You've got this. And before you know it, you're safely perched atop the monument.
Yes, you're a natural gymnast, Detective. Now, would you like to do what you got up there to do?
The connection itself is nothing more than a little braid of exposed wire wrapped about the hoof of the horse. A copper fetter it cannot slip. The whole monument is covered in a thin but durable layer of oil and grime. It's obvious no one has cleaned it in years. It takes a few moments, but the alcohol gradually begins to break down the oils surrounding the copper wiring.
Is this really the time, Detective?
It's all right, Lieutenant. He's simply cleaning the connections.
Once the oils have been dissolved, you wipe off the connections with your sleeve and reattach the cable.
I had hoped that between the signal purifier and cleaning the connections that we would have it, but perhaps I overestimated.
Unser einziges Kind. Kann doch auch nächstes Jahr zur Akademie gehen.
Short of changing the shape of the antenna, I'm not sure what else we can do from here. And the lorries are all jammed together, so that's unlikely to happen. Ideally, narrow the receiving mode so that we can isolate the warship signal and eliminate the crosstalk. But if you don't know what you're doing, of course you could just make it worse. What do you mean? You adjust the antenna manually, with your hands. I'm afraid we're out of alternatives. You're just going to have to go for it.
She's right. The responsibility is yours, and yours alone. There's no turning back now. Your grip is firm, yet controlled. The swelling in your headset guides your hands as much as your hands guide the bronze horse head. It's almost like you're hearing through the horse itself.
That's very good. Just a bit more to the left.
Nein, Liebling.
The signal is clear. The storm has passed. This is another voice, a live voice on the other end of this invisible bridge you've established.
Try it now, officer.
Lieutenant Dubois, this is Coalition Warship Archer. We are acknowledging and accepting you.
Aha! Excellent! You are connected. Now be quick. I don't know how long I'll be able to preserve the signal.
This is it. You're finally getting to speak with those who hold real power. There is so much you wish you could ask. Your efforts have bought you some time, but you can't forget what you're really here for.
Please be advised that you are speaking on a public frequency. What is your request? Acknowledged. To reach the committee, all you need to do is fill out the appropriate request form and submit it to the Liaison for Public Affairs. If the liaison accepts your request, you will be invited to address the committee at their next quarterly public hearing. We believe the next hearing is scheduled for July.
She's got to be jerking your chain, right? You can't wait that long. This isn't about you. Not really. It may have been at a certain point, but you've let go of that perspective. This is about your responsibility to all of Revachon. Now, take a deep breath. Look upward. You don't have to bear the burden alone.
What? How do you know this? Lieutenant Dubois, this is a very serious claim. Please describe the situation as succinctly as possible. We will forward your summary to the committee.
There's papers rustling in the background. She's clearing her desk, preparing to take notes. There, you've wedged your foot in the door. Now, if you can show the Coalition how much they're needed, they'll have no choice but to intervene.
Please continue. We're listening. Was there anything else the committee should know?
Detective, before you answer that, I urge you to weigh your words extremely carefully.
You're not only speaking for yourself. He means to tell you you're speaking for all of the RCM. What you say now will reflect on all of your half-brothers and sisters.
We're afraid we must ask you to repeat that, Lieutenant Dubois.
Afraid? What is she afraid of? Her tone has shifted. She's no longer herself. She's reading from a script. Your words have activated some sort of procedure.
Acknowledge. Listen very carefully, Lieutenant. We're going to ask you a series of questions. It is imperative that you answer as directly and truthfully as you can. Do you understand? Good. First question. Are you currently in the vicinity of Surragli, the North Arcade Islands, or near Pale Offshore Platform in Sulindico? Very good. Next question. Would you describe the phenomenon as internal to the Isola or external to the Isola?
What she means is, actually, you have no idea what those words could mean in this context.
Next question. At the time, did you experience sense objects? Yes. Examples may include sound, memory, light. Let's go on. Final question. Were you alone?
Yes, unquestionably, irrevocably alone. You are part of a large family. You are never alone. There's no need to overthink this.
We repeat. Were you alone?
You hear the sound of a page ripping.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Please stand by while we transmit our summary.
A long winter.
I'm not sure how much longer I can keep the signal clear, officer.
Lieutenant Dubois, this is Collision Warship Archer. Please acknowledge. Thank you for standing by. We are authorized to report the Committee of Responsibility for Rebashal has acknowledged and accepted your request. They would like you to address your matter to the committee directly, as their earliest convenience. Local matters can wait. Collision Shuttle Laurel is setting a course for your position. They will arrive momentarily. Stand by.
Fat raindrops explode all around you. You wait, exposed to the meteorological bombardment. You wish you'd brought a hat.
So? They're really coming?
The lieutenant slowly removes his headphones and turns up toward you.
Yes, and then? You've accomplished your side task. You've contacted Coalition Warship Archer. I suppose what I'm asking is whether we are about to lose you to the moral intern.
Beneath that surface query, a touch of self-doubt. The lieutenant isn't sure he can solve the murder without you.
Afraid of what, detective?
A little rhyme jingling in your mind's attic. Of the future, of the past, of all that is not made to last. The lieutenant takes a moment to compose his thoughts.
I don't know where this case will lead us, detective. But in a sense, that doesn't matter. Our job is to follow the evidence where it leads. Consequences be damned. Because that's what it means to be an officer of the RCM.
The lieutenant's final words are nearly swallowed by the roar of the aerostatic's main rotors.
Lieutenant Dubois, this is Collision Warship Archer. We have been instructed to inform you that the Laurel arrived at your position. Please acknowledge.
No shit. How are they supposed to hear your acknowledgement over the thundering of their own rotors?
Thank you. The Committee of Responsibility for Rebel has authorized us to offer you an immediate extraction. Do you accept? Repeat that, Lieutenant. What do you mean, you can't? Are you being impeded in some way? We have to say, this is extremely disappointing to hear, Lieutenant. What the consequences will be for your refusal to accept responsibility, we cannot say. For your sake, we pray they are not more than we all can bear. And now, we are updating our frequencies. We will not speak again. This connection will be cleared in 4, 3, 2, 1. Après le monde, le gris.
And the line goes quiet. The lieutenant gives you a long sigh as he removes his headphones. There's relief on his face as he turns toward you.
I think it's best for you to climb off the statue now, Detective. Your real work is done here.
There's a damp cold running up the insides of your thighs. Your legs have grown stiff. You've been up here quite a while. You look around. The strikebreakers are still shouting their slogans and waving their hand-painted signs. Beneath you, the lieutenant and the programmer have begun disconnecting a few cables. Out on the bay, a pair of dinghies bob and roll in the waves. The breeze drags the voices of the fishermen toward the plaza, faint and indecipherable. Further out, a few dirty icebergs drift to and fro. Further still, at the outer edge of your recognizance, the ancient ruins of the sea fort lay piled on the horizon.
Everything all right, Detective? Listen, I understand that you're disappointed that things did not turn out how you might have hoped. But you made the right decision, the more difficult decision, in my mind at least. Because I can see you're still agonizing over it. In my experience, when you make the wrong decision, you can tell right away. It's the right decisions that won't leave you alone.
Perhaps someday, the lieutenant will tell you about some of the decisions that won't leave him alone. But it won't be this day.
Now come on. We still have a long day ahead of us.
An old cylindrical generator is nested above the ammo lift, with makeshift electrical wiring running out of its side and across the floor. The cables disappear into the wall to your right. The lieutenant puts his hand on the metal barrel, checking for warmth.
It's cold now, but someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired.
Wait, haven't you heard this before?
Downstairs, somewhere? Liquid carbon. I would imagine it takes mazout. The kind that's favored by vagrants and fuel thieves. It's been a long winter.
The lieutenant pauses. Something seems to be pecking at the edge of his concentration. He gives you a sideways look before adding,
Long and cold.
"There's no time to dwell on this moment. You've got to keep moving." A hollow ring. The canister is empty. Dust falls from the generator and down into the ammo lift.
I don't know. I'm not a philosopher. Someone with basic electrical skills has restored it in order to keep the room warm.
The wind outside picks up suddenly. With a faint howl, inside it's warm.